welcome to my lower back pain class. It should take around 15 to 20 minutes. We're going to be covering a load of different areas: flexibility, strength, mobility, a little bit of mindfulness there as well. If you've had lower back pain for a long period of time, then this could be really good for you, because when we get lower back pain, we tend to alter our movement patterns and we stop moving, especially this lower part of our spine, and become a little bit of a robot. So we're trying to reintroduce some movement around this area, trying to release some tight musculature and build a good foundation of strength. If you can't do some of the movements, just do it nice and slow first of all, listening to my coaching points, and it'll become easier over time. But if any of them give you pain at all, or you get any pain for any of the movements, then try and stay away from them. Have a little rest, wait for the next movement to come up, and then try that one out. Now when you get lower back pain, you usually get this sort of bracing going on, and your breathing goes out of sync and muscles become really sensitive and really reactive. So through breath work, you can actually bring a little bit of release and a little bit of tension to some of the muscles. So the first part that we're going to do is a little bit of mindfulness breathing work. We set up a nice comfortable position. So you can take a cushion at home. I've obviously got one of these yoga cushions here. I'm going to come into, rather than being in a cross-legged position, because that can be quite stressful, especially if you're tight through the hips. I'm going to come into a high kneeling position. Now this is quite low for me, but I'm quite flexible through this position. If you need a little bit more height, then just stack a couple more cushions up at home. Alright, we set up a nice postural position. Now I talk about this a lot in some of my classes about the importance of posture, and it's key because our muscles work in a certain strength-tension relationship, and we need to bring the awareness into our mind and connect it with the body, so when we are in a bad position through our daily lives, we can readjust. Alright, and that's where being on the mat can be crossed over onto everyday life, because we increase the awareness here and then it crosses over onto all the movements that we do. Picking something out the top shelf, pulling out some weeds in the garden, picking up your children. There's loads of different ways that it crosses over, and it'll become second nature. You're starting to learn a new habit, alright, and a new skill. Setting up your posture, tilt the hips backwards and forwards. That might be even hard for you straight away. Come to this neutral position where you imagine it's a pail of water and you pour a tiny little bit out the front. Draw the shoulders up to in line with the ears. Slight activation between the shoulder blades and draw them down. Have the hands on the thighs, nice and relaxed. And then if your head's sticking out, if you feel like it's sticking out, maybe have a look in the mirror. Have a mirror nearby. Draw the head in. Lengthen through the spine. Imagine someone's lengthening the spine. They've got a piece of rope from the top of your head and they're pulling you up towards the sky. Now bring the awareness to the breath. Breathe in through the nose, feel the different temperatures of the breath there, as it's nice and cold as it passes in through the nasal passage. It humidifies as it hits the back of the throat. It passes down through the windpipe to the seat of the lungs. Feel every breath ground you into the floor, and as you exhale, you follow this same passage. It goes up through the windpipe, out through the nose into the atmosphere. And when you're thinking of this breath, I want you to imagine it as a white mist. So, as you breathe out the nose, you imagine this white mist in a cyclic fashion, passing in front of your face and back into the nasal passage. So it's the same breath moving in and out of the body. Try and let this relax you, and every single exhale that you make, you feel a little bit of that tension melt away, and you move into this place where you've got this bodily awareness and you start bringing yourself into the present moment. Just sit with the breath there. Now from the little bit of breath work there, we'll start moving into some mobility. Nice and gentle to start, and then we'll start increasing the intensity as we go through and move into some strengthening movements. So, start working the hands out to the front. Walk them round to the left hand side, nice and slow. When you come round to the left and you start to get a nice stretch through the side body, then stop there. We're not going to that full 100% of the stretch first of all. We're just warming into it and mobilising the spine. Keep flowing through the movements. We walk around to the opposite side. We get a little bit of a stretch. Keep sinking that chest down towards the thighs. We're in this sort of child's pose and we're walking the hands around to the sides. The left hand side, you can even walk the hands over the top of each other. Round to the front. When we get to that end of range, we exhale. Back round to the left hand side this time. This time we'll modify it slightly. So we walk our hands round to the left hand side. We still keep our bum planted onto our heels. You can even do this onto the tops of your toes this time. So plant down the left hand to the floor, nice and strong. Push right into the floor. Push up with the hips slightly, so only going up about halfway. Slight activation through the glutes. Look at the top hand. Feel a stretch up the side. Come back round. Walk over. The same that we did on this last little round. To the right hand side, plant the right hand. Come over the top, slight activation through the glutes. Feel the stretch, lengthen up through the fingertips. Stretch those fingers, spread them apart. Back round to this left hand side. When we come round to the left hand side this time, we're going to try and get our bum a little bit further off our heels. So squeeze up, feel the bum engage, tuck underneath with the hips. So we're not extending through the back, we're getting some engagement through the core in this position. Look up at the top hand, flow round. Round to this right hand side. When we get to the right hand side, we plant the right hand, squeeze up through the glutes, tuck underneath with the hips again. Look up at that top hand, bring ourselves around to the centre. From there, I want you to come onto the fronts of the feet. We come forwards into this tabletop position. The knees come directly underneath the hips, hands directly underneath the shoulders. And we're just going to go between these cat and cow positions. Now when you go between the cat and cow position, you just have a couple of rounds. Let the spine do what it wants first of all. If you want to do some sideways movements, then do some sideways movements. Try and bring a bit of flow and a little bit of an intuitive movement to this pose, or these two poses. And then we come to this neutral spine position. And I want you to segmentally move every single vertebrae of the spine. So the first thing that we go with, we tuck underneath with the hips. Imagine someone's walking the fingers up your back. Last thing to go down is the head. First thing to come up is the head. Keep pushing through the hands. One vertebrae at a time, extending through the spine. Last thing up is the bum. First thing down is the bum. Same again. Last thing to flex through into this full flex position is the head. Back up through that same movement again. Trying to get a little bit more control every single time that we do this. All done. Now, find the neutral position. Keep the right hand and bring it into the centre line just slightly. Ground down through this hand. Try and turn the crease of the elbow towards the front of the room. Peel up with this left hand towards the sky. We're going to do this 3 times. Don't worry if you can't get all the way up. Hands are stacked over the top of each other. We're still in this good spinal position, okay? Try and keep a nice flat back. We're getting a rotation through the whole of this thoracic. We come underneath, bend this supporting elbow. Palm goes up. As we do this, slide across the floor. Come down with the left shoulder to the floor. Peel back out of that again. Exhale, look up at the hand. Inhale as the hand comes down. We're doing it 3 times. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Turn the hand to the floor. Right hand scooches over to the right. Left hand comes in slightly towards the centre line. Again, spread the fingers, peel up towards the sky. Exhale. Slowly inhale, bend that supporting hand. You can probably see a little bit better this time. Palm facing up. Trying to get that right shoulder close to the floor as we can, but working within our own tip limitations. That's 1 repetition. Up towards the sky. Peel up. Keep moving with the breath. Should have a sense of relaxation through these movements. Sense of release. through every rotation that we do, through every movement that we do, even through the strength of the movements, we try and be as present as we possibly can. Now, have a little bit of a rest there. Drop down onto the heels, spread the knees for this. A little bit of modified child's pose again. If you've got a little bit of problem with your knees, then put a cushion underneath your knees. And if you're really tight through the fronts of your feet, you're going to feel it right down the front of this shin as well. Drop back into child's pose. Stretch out with the hands, slowly walking forward. Sink the chest down towards the floor. Move around with the hips there. And then I want you to try and pin your biceps towards your ears. If you're tight through your lats, then you're going to find it really hard to have your arms overhead here. Bring the palms together, bend the elbows, keep pinning in with the elbows in that position. Because what you'll find is if you're really tight, then your elbows will split out to the sides. But just over time, you'll find that you'll be able to get the elbows in a little bit more. And that's where it is. A little bit of progression every week. Or even you might find quite a lot of progression after the first few times that you do this if you're not used to leg flexibility through the body. Breathe into it. Release into the mat. On the next exhale, just come up again into this all four position. We're going into one of our strong poses now, which is the plank. Come up onto the toes. Try and keep a nice straight line. Don't let the hips sag down. Try and squeeze with the bum cheeks. Tuck underneath so you've got that stability through the core. Rotate the elbows, alright, the crease of the elbow towards the front of the room. Push through the hands, down the thumb side of the hand. That's going to give you the stability through the shoulders. We just hold for 10 seconds there. And then we drop down onto our knees. Now from here, bring your right hand in towards centre. Your right knee is going to turn outwards. Top leg is going to extend and you're going to have the foot parallel to the bottom of the mat. You're going to come up, push up with this bottom hip and with the top hip. Look over at this hand. And what you'll do is you'll sweep through. So you sweep round to the front, you sit back onto this leg, round to the front of the foot. And sweep the hands around the front to the opposite direction. Returning to this modified side plank. Come round, forward fold over. Spend one breath there. Plant the hand, push up with the hip. One last time, come round. And I just want you to spend 3 breaths there. Try and square off the hips. If you can't get that far, don't worry, if you're only here, that's great. We're going to work further towards that foot over time. After that 3rd breath, come back round, plant the hand. Left hand comes down as well. And we come back into this plank position. Nice and strong again. Breathing through the movement. Don't let the mind take over. Stay with it. It's only 10 seconds. 2, 1. Place the knees down. Left knee comes parallel to the bottom of the mat this time. Left hand comes in. Stretch out the right foot. Push up with the hips towards the sky. Activating the side body on this bottom side. Look up at that top hand. Sweep round. Exhale. Forward fold. Back round to the opposite side. Strong base to support with that hand and knee and the bottom foot. Look up the top hand. Come back round again. Squeeze up through the side. Feel that side body strengthen every time that you move. Palm down on this top hand. Last time that we come round here. And we're holding for around 3 breaths. Again, if you're only here, don't worry about it. Over time, you'll start to be able to get your head down towards your knee. But it may take a bit of time, like I said. Rotate round. We come into this plank position again for the third time. Hold them for 10 seconds. 5, stay strong. 4, keep breathing. 2 and 1. Drop the knees down to the floor, come onto the fronts of the feet and come back into that child's pose again. Maybe you can walk your hands out a little bit further. You're trying to lengthen the body, lengthen the spine in this position. Drop down with the hips. Feel if the hips have eased up a little bit from that movement. Just stretch off the hamstrings a bit there, and also some of the side body, and also some activation and some strengthening of the side body there as well. Keep stretching out, spread those fingers. Come back up into that all four position. Now if your hands are directly underneath your shoulders, bring them a little bit further out to the front. We're going into something called the downward dog here. So tuck the toes underneath. Bring up the knees off the floor. Keep it bending the knees first of all. If you can't get your heels down towards the floor all the way, then don't worry about it. Push out through the hands. Have the thumb side of the hand pressed into the floor. Rotate the shoulders through, okay? So that you've got this crease of the elbow trying to get round to the front. Have your ears brushing with the biceps there. I want you to inhale, lift up through the hips. Exhale, down through the heels towards the floor. Over time, you'll be able to start straightening your leg, but you're trying to keep a nice straight spine in this position. Just relax there for 1 second because we've been there for quite a while. Have a nice big inhale. As you exhale, we move back into downward dog again. And we're going to go between these two positions. What we're going to do is, we're going to come forwards, our knees are going to come directly underneath the hips, just hovering off the floor. We come back with the exhale, back into downward dog. Inhale, come forwards. Stay strong. Exhale. Push back into downward dog. One more. Come forwards. Don't let your back sag away. Keep engaged through the abdominals. Tuck underneath with the hips. I'm just going to hold for 5 seconds on this last one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back in the downward dog. Bring the knees towards the floor. Back into child's pose again. 2 breaths there. Scoot yourself forward, keep the forearms down. Come up into this half cobra, squeeze underneath with the hips. Because if you usually go into this cobra position, you'll find that you just hinge in one area. So if you took underneath with the hips and give the stability through that midriff, then you're going to give more extension evenly through the vertebrae there. Next one, bring the arms out the side in a sort of a crucifix position. Bring the legs together. You're on the fronts of the feet here. Create a little bit of stability again by engaging these glutes. You'll keep hearing me say that. Look over to the right hand, and your right leg is going to come over the top of the left. And what you're trying to do, especially with this right side, you're trying to keep the shoulder down towards the floor. Because what I'll do, it'll want to creep up off. You'll see when I go on the opposite side. Now you might feel a stretch all the way up through this fascial sling, this oblique sling down the side body here. If you can go a little bit further up, you keep working your way up until you get sort of close to that hand. Like I'm right on my limit there with that one. Come back to the centre. Don't go too far with that. Work up over time. Again, look there, my shoulder wanted to come off the floor. Pin it down. Walk that leg over. Keep pinning down with the shoulders. Feel the stretch all the way up. Might even feel it through the quad there a little bit as well, the front of the thigh. Come back round to that centre point again. Push up. Come back into this plank position. We hold for another 10 seconds. Push out through the hands. Have this stability through the spine. This is where we get that static strength, and it can be really important, especially for posture. From there, come back into downward dog. Still have a bend in the knees there if you want to. Push out through the hands. Step the right foot into the centre line. Right foot comes in towards the sky. Keep the hips squared off. Push up onto the toes on that back foot. Create some space. Plant the foot as close as you can towards the hands. If you only get to here, don't worry. Shuffle the foot up. It'll become easier over time. Now, go onto the front of the back foot. And what we do from this point is, we're going to come up with our hands together. We're going to sink the hips down towards the floor. And as we exhale, we straighten this front leg and we fold forwards. Keep the toes pointing down for this one. Inhale and exhale. Hands come up above the head. We're sinking down with the hips towards the floor. Fold forwards. I'm going to go 3 times again on this side. Hands up to the sky. Exhale. Fold forwards. Last one, turn the toes up. Keep turning the toes there. Come back. Frame the front foot with the hands. Push up with the toe. Come back into our plank again. Drop back in to our downward dog. We go opposite this time, so we bring the left foot in towards the centre line, right foot goes up in towards the sky. We create some space, plant that foot down, come onto the front of the back foot, still in that lunge position. Bring the hands above the head, like so. Hands come down as we straighten that front leg. Try and keep a nice straight spine if you can. Don't have to worry about flexing forward. Push up with the chest. You try to tilt the hips forward. You feel more of a stretch down the back of the thigh into the hamstring there. Come forward again. Stay strong. Might challenge your balance a little bit with this one as well. On the next exhale, come down. And remember, the next time we come into this position, we're going to tuck the toes up towards our head. Come back down. Drop through. Still got the glutes on in this position to create that stability through the spine. We're not just extending through our lumbar spine for this. Back down last time. Turn the toes up. Pull the chest forward. Push the bum out toward the sky again. Don't worry if you're only up here. It's going to get easier. Tuck the toes up. Come forwards, frame that front foot. Lift the back knee onto the toes. Right foot comes through. Drop down onto the knees. Exhale. Scooch forward again. Keep the chest low, bum high. Onto the front of the arms, chest comes up, squeeze through the bum cheeks to create that stability again, up halfway, and then slowly down. Create these little pods with your hands, bring them out to the front of the mat, squeeze with the bum cheeks again, heel up towards the sky, maybe you can go a little bit higher this time, use the hands, draw down with the shoulders in this position. Head down to the floor. Inhale. Exhale. Peel up one more time. And back down. Rest the forehead on the floor. What I want you to do with this one is, we're going to work through some of the musculature in between our shoulders. Now when we're talking about working with these muscles in the traps, we call them, which in between the shoulder blades, if they become really long and weak, then it can give you a bad postural position. So we can become tight through the front, and we can become long and weak at the back, and that brings us into this slump forward position with our shoulders. So what we're trying to do is, we're trying to create strength to bring our shoulders back, alright? So bring your chest to the floor. And what we'll do with this, first of all, I want you to have your front of your hand down first of all. And then, when you're trying to peel your shoulders back, you're not bringing them up towards your ears because you spend a lot of time here. We want to be trying to draw the shoulder blades together and down, like so. So look at the difference between this and this. Alright? We're trying to draw down and use the musculature that we don't usually use. So, draw up and rotate the thumbs up towards the sky. Push your forehead in towards the floor as well. Squeeze your bum cheeks. Rotate back down. Front of the hand on the floor. Rotate the thumbs up towards the sky. Rock back with those shoulders. Feel the engagement through these traps. Really important muscles for postural position. Back down. Good. And back up. Keep breathing in that position. Exhale. 2 more times. Exhale. Rotate the thumbs up towards the sky. 1 more. On the exhale, move the hands up. Rotate the hands. Stay strong through it. And then lower back down. From there, turn the palms to face the floor. Squeeze through the bum cheeks. Squeeze the thighs together as well. Be really strong through here. Push through the hands in a straight arm position. I just want you to, with this tuck position, so don't hinge through the back, tuck underneath the hips and lift your shoulders off the floor. Feel the engagement through the musculature in the back. People get scared to strengthen up the lower back or any part of their back, but it's really important. These are muscles that we need to increase in strength. Lower down. Squeeze the bum cheeks, create that stable base, and then come up to the top position. Bring the shoulders off the floor. We're even getting the activation through like we just did the exercise before as well. Push up there, and slowly lower the head down to the floor. 1 more time, squeeze through the bum cheeks, set it up, back up with the shoulders, and lower the head to the floor again. Last exercise now. Squeeze the thighs together, point the toes, and I just want you to tuck underneath of the hips again. I want you to try and take the knees off the floor. Push in through the hands on the floor here. Push the hips down to the floor and slowly lower down. Feel the glutes activate. You should feel these bad boys coming on. Again, push through the floor with nice straight arms. Up with the feet again. Squeeze through the glutes. And slowly lower the thighs back to the floor. Going to do that 1 more time. Only holding for around 5 seconds each time that we lift up the legs. Exhale. Squeeze up. Feet together. Pin those legs together. 2, 1. Slowly lower down. And in your own time, roll over onto your back. Find a nice comfortable position. Have a little bit of reflection of what's just happened there. Take a nice big inhale through the nose. Feel the stomach expand. Exhale, release. Yeah. Into the atmosphere around you. Reflect back on the whole of that last 20-25 minutes. You started moving things in the right direction. Give yourself credit. Moving with positivity through the day.